Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hi, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hunter. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So, they had the Hall of Fame voting today. They finally got the results, and we got two new Hall of Famers. First up, Andrew Jones. I don't really care about him because he's a Brave. 10 Gold Gloves, 400 home runs, fine. Not a particularly big fan of the Braves, as you know. Not a fan of the Braves. But the big news here at the Hut is that Carlos Beltran got in. 84.2% of the vote. Great. You know, he had 70% last year. Just got under. And we kind of figured that he was going to get in this year. And what's not to say about him? He's a great guy. Over 400 home runs as a switch hitter. They sort of didn't really dive so deeply into this on the MLB network, surprisingly. He's a switch hitter. Top 5, top 6 all-time home runs and as a switch hitter. That's a big deal. They show a lot of his left-handed home runs, not too many of his right-handed home runs. Great power hitter. Just great RBI man, over 1,500 RBIs. Over 2,700 hits. It was just a little under 300 hits to get to 3,000. Really not anything negative to say. Over 300 stolen bases. He's the 5th major leaguer ever to do that. Have 400 home runs, over 400 home runs. I think it's 400 home runs. 500 doubles and 300 stolen bases. It's crazy statistics. Up there with A-Rod and Andre Dawson and Barry Bonds and of course the immortal Willie Mays. So he's up there in rarefied air as a player. And great defensive center fielder, as you know, as you remember as a Met fan. Great clutch hitter. Always wanted him up at the plate in a big spot. He had one bad at bat in his whole career. I mean, to be honest with you. And because he was going up against a guy who's a Hall of Fame pitcher. But he had a great career, and hopefully everything's upward and onward with him. And I hope one day, and I don't want to say anything negative about the current manager, I'd really like to see him be the manager of this New York Mets team moving forward. He should get that job back, to be honest with you. But maybe he will someday. But he was a wonderful player to watch. I couldn't get enough of him. I always felt confident when he was up at the plate. That 2006 season was just an awesome year. Every at-bat he always seemed to get a big hit every at-bat. And we can't forget about how well he played in 2008 in September. Carried the Mets on his back, doing everything he could to help them get to the postseason. But unfortunately, they didn't do it. And remember that big home run he hit the day before the last game. Again, when Johan Santana pitched that big game that Saturday afternoon. He was just a wonderful player. He has the highest stolen base percentage of any Hall of Famer now. Just, what was it, like 80-something, 85, 86, 87%. I mean, almost automatic in getting a stolen base and not being thrown out. Just incredible. Just incredible numbers. And just a smart player. And eventually became like a leader. I was watching this little this little segment on MLB on Tuesday. Cliff Floyd talking to him, and he said that the first 10 years of his career he wasn't happy. He wasn't a very happy player, and then in the last 10 years of his career he was very happy as a player. He was very satisfied with the kind of things that he had done. Now it'd be interesting to see where he goes. Will he go in as a New York Met, or will he go in as a Kansas City Royal? Because he was there with the Royals for many, many years before he got traded to Houston, and he had tremendous years with the Royals, put himself on the map. But really, when you play in New York, there's really nothing second best when it comes to anything. And to be honest with you, I think money-wise, he'd be better off going in as a Met than as a Yankee, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not as a Yankees. I mean, as a Kansas City Royal. I'm all right. He was the 1990. People don't know this about him. He was the 1999 Rookie of the Year, which is in the American League. Most fans, I don't think, remember that, even know that. Just a tremendous player, and Happy to see that. And he's now the second Met to go into the Hall of Fame this year, with Jeff Kent being the first. So he's not going to go in as a Met or go in as a Giant. But Jeff Kent was here for many, many years with the Mets. I had my issues with him. He wasn't the most cuddly personality, but the numbers speak for themselves. Just to go through the vote a little bit. Andrew Jones gets 78.4%. He started out like less than like 10% of the ballot. I think 8% he started the first year, and he was able to get in on the 9th year. He was getting to the nitty-gritty here. Beltran was on the 4th year of the ballot. That jerk-off Chase Utley is in the 3rd year. He's going to get in, unfortunately. Now, I would mention next year, there's really 2 big players next year going in for the first time on the ballot. That's John Lester and Buster Posey. Buster Posey's going to get in on the first ballot. John Lester will get in, but it's going to take him a little bit. Because you got to really do a deep dive on Lester. Lester has 2 careers. You know, his career with the Red Sox and his career with the Cubs. And those 2 careers are very historic because he was part of like 2 historic groups and 2 historic teams. So that has to be taken into account. And the second part of his career with the Cubs, he was like the first big move of the Cubs during the Theo Epstein era there. So that's kind of important. Andy Pettit. Now we go back to the ballot for this year. Chase Utley is a jerk. And sorry, they talked about integrity and character. Just horrible. Horrible. Andy Pettit. Again, a steroid guy, and how he's on here is unbelievable. Felix Hernandez, second year in the ballot, he's going to get in because he was a dominant pitcher when he pitched. He just did. This team didn't score runs for him. He wasn't on a good team. 418 starts in his career, never made a postseason start. A-Rod still on the ballot. A-Rod's an all-timer, but because of his background, he ain't getting it. Manny Ramirez, ditto, but he's off the ballot because he spent 10 years on it. Bobby Abreu, believe it or not, is on the ballot still at 30.8%. Good player, not a great player. Jimmy Rollins, another guy, good player, not a great player. You know, 25.4% of the ballot, of the vote. And from what I understand, that people were kind of interested in seeing that he did not get more votes this year. But what's interesting about him is they said this on the MLB network on Tuesday, was that he has the second most extra base hits for a shortstop behind Cal Ripken. Another jerk from the Phillies, Cole Hamels, on the first year in the ballot, 23.8%. He's not a Hall of Famer. And he's another one that's very obsessed with the New York Mets. Because we don't get into that. Dustin Pedroia, he should be higher on this list. He should be much, much higher. Because Pedroia, if you watched him in his career, even though it wasn't a long career, he was a Hall of Famer. Mark Burley had great moments, not a Hall of Famer. Omar Vizquel, well, he should have kept his hands to himself. He had a good shot at getting in until he got himself into trouble. Frankie Rodriguez got 50 votes. He's still on the ballot. I'm surprised he's still on the ballot. Torrey Hunter, 37 votes. He's still on the ballot. I was looking at his numbers. His numbers are pretty good. I don't know if he's a very good player. I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame. He's a little short in some areas. And the other player on the ballot still, he's going to be on the ballot next year, is David Wright. I think David's going to be on this ballot for 10 years. I had gone through the numbers of his and of that of Scott Rowland. Scott Rowland played a little bit longer, had better health, but David Wright's numbers were better, and David was a MVP type player. Scott Rowland was not. How Scott Rowland, the first ballot Hall of Famer, is beyond me, in my opinion. As a defensive third baseman, he was a first ballot Hall of Famer, but the bat wasn't as good as David Wright's bat, and that's why I was surprised that he got in the first ballot. Very surprised. So I didn't think he was that good, in my opinion. So his whole career, he was good. He wasn't like the centerpiece of your team. He was like a 6-hitter on your team a lot of times if you had a team that was good. I believe he was the 6-hitter on that Cardinals team that won. So he really wasn't like, in my opinion, A player that was so great. And then you see David Wright, who was a contemporary of his, had better numbers, bigger years, an MVP type player, and he's only got 63 votes this year, but 14.8%. It went up from last year. I think it was like 8% last year. So he's still on the ballot. He's gonna be on this for a while, because you have to really study his numbers, and then you see how good he was. And this is not a situation with it's very similar to Don Mattingly in a lot of ways. But if you look at the numbers from 2004 to 2013, other than 2-3 years there, he's right there as a Hall of Famer. Just keep that in mind. The problem is a lot of these other players, the longevity is what hurts him. But we'll see. But like I said, the big news obviously is that Carlos Beltran's in the Hall of Fame. We'll see if the Mets retire his number as well, because he's being honored, also getting into the Mets Hall of Fame. The Mets have not announced the day of the big ceremony, because Bobby Valentine's is going to be involved in that, and it's going to be huge. And I guess the other player is John Matlack. So we got a lot of things going on this summer with the Mets, and they've not announced that they're going to have I would have a separate day for him. Probably have 2 days for him, if that. Him getting in the Hall of Fame with these other guys, and having his number retired, and getting into the Hall of Fame, the big Hall of Fame. So there's a lot going on. The Mets have to weigh these options. So let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to the Baseball at 2, and I'll see you later.